Okay, roll call.
Balmer,
Here.
Craig, Deeth,
Here.
Denning,
Here.
DeRue, Hayek,
Here.
Kucera,
Here.
Maliabu,
Here.
Patel.
Here.
Item number 2 on the agenda is to adopt the draft minutes as presented or amended. Is there a motion to adopt the draft minutes?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Patel,
Second,
seconded by,
Maliabo.
I'll pronounce your name eventually, so I'm. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is motion to accept correspondence. We have correspondence from Martha Hampel. Is there a motion to accept the correspondence?
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Deeth, seconded by Kucera. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say that I appreciate the refresher on both the events that happened and on my slightly foggy memory. Please forgive me if in October of leap years, my life is kind of a blur.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is the review of the city charter. Tonight, we're going to talk about the preamble and definitions. We have some suggestions that were sent to us by Commissioner Denning, and I'd like to have an opportunity now to visit and discuss those. And we're not going to make any decisions tonight. We're going to get a consensus, and then we will circle back eventually when we approve those, so.
So I got some very excellent feedback today on a couple of more additions that come from the Model Charter Commission reports. I've got copies of that, so people won't have to guess what that is. And I have a copy for you, too. Pass those along. Yeah, these two are.
Thank you.
I just would want to say Commissioner Denning, and I spoke earlier today and want to appreciate and recognize her for really taking the time to provide references and really review and combine the documents for us. So, so I thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to it, or from a discussion-wise?
So when we, like you said, we will revisit this because perhaps at some time we will add or change something.
Right.
That will impact that. But no, people should check for spelling errors or grammatical errors or, but that Model Charter Commission report was amazing. Because
Yes.
I would not have thought of any of these things, so I think that's.
So basically what Commissioner Denning did was she applied the example and also the City of Iowa City current charter and kind of combined them together with references to make it a really great preamble and number 1 review. When her and I spoke earlier, if you reviewed the packet prior to our meeting, what we added or discussed adding is 1A and B, just to be very specific on the goals that people should be included, no matter what. So those are the things we added if you had reviewed this prior to our meeting.
I really do appreciate this. It's great because I already started writing certain stuff about some number 1 and 2. So what you wrote is actually close to what I was thinking. So thank you.
And the other thing was adding item number 5, about environmental stewardship. So that
Right.
was something, and that may be too something that we could look at as we go through, or are there things we need to do in other parts of the charter to reflect that principle? So, and the flowery language came from the charter review. I can't take credit for that.
The what language?
The flowery language, the treasuring the wonders of our environment.
It doesn't specifically say flowers.
No, that's true. Flowers, trees.
The one thing I would mention about the, I'll say the new addition to preamble, section 1, subsection B about discrimination, is that the city has its own human rights ordinance, and it has a number of protected classes, and I'm not sure that those match what's listed here. Oftentimes, there's movement or addition to those protected classes. I think, most recently, gender identity, for example, has been one I think that's been added recently, but our current provision against employment discrimination lists age, color, creed, disability, gender identity, marital status, national origin, race, religion, sex or sexual orientation. It does not list military status,
Or physical.
yeah, physical or mental. I mean, of course, that's present in other state and federal law in terms of discrimination. So my only hesitation about listing all those things here in the charter, which doesn't get changed as often, is fear that it might quickly, grow to be out of date, that it may not match. It sounds like it does not match what we've got elsewhere now. Not that we couldn't line that up, of course, right now, but that might be more subject to change in between. So that's just something to consider.
So should we change it, Eric, perhaps to say something along the lines, or would your recommendation be something to say along the lines, discrimination is prohibited and based on whatever's in the city code, or?
Just,
To align
just
with-
take the wording directly from the city code?
Sure. We could do that again if we just took it directly from what's presently in city code. Then that may change. Now, of course, we could just say something like discrimination as prohibited by city code, or state and federal, or something, and thereby not have to worry about this charter language going to be out of date as
Because
quickly.
it updates itself.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because-
because it would
yeah.
update itself as the other ordinance and laws would change. So that's something to consider.
Okay.
I like that.
I
Yeah,
do
make
too.
more sense.
I will, yeah. So, could you sort of repeat that discrimination?
Well,
No?
I'm not great at, no, I'm just not great at drafting on the fly. I mean, if you want,
Yeah.
you could task me with coming back with some proposed language
Right.
next time.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we just felt it was important to say something, that discrimination is prohibited, period, to make sure that's stated. Thank you.
Eric, does 1A create any, give you any pause in terms of creating a legal risk for the city in any way?
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not a laudable
Sure.
objective, but
Right. Right. For example, we don't employ sex offenders in the library. I mean, maybe something like that would be kind of obvious that there would be some caveats in that, even if they're not stated herein, but,
One thing, perhaps you could, instead of shall have, use has, and then add something at the end, except where,
Prohibited.
or, yeah, except,
well, the danger with prohibited is one might say, well, prohibited where? Show me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As allowed by law or something like that.
Well, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's not just law, sometimes
you're
it's
the one
city
who's the lawyer.
policy, you know. Well, I mean, I gather that the intent here is to, convey the, aspirational goal that everyone should have equal opportunities, barring the kind of things that I was just mentioning, to participate fully in the economic, cultural, intellectual life of the city. Again, I'd be happy to try to tweak this language a little bit so as to preserve our opportunities to, to what I'll characterize as legal discrimination. People always think discrimination is a dirty word, but, we do it all the time, we don't
Yes.
have blind bus drivers, that kind of thing. So I'll if it's okay with the council, or commission, I'll see if I can tweak that a little bit as well.
Yes, so you're going to, just to make it clear, you're going to tweak A and B about, to make it so we don't have liability.
Right, yeah, that's the guidance I'm hearing from the commission, yeah.
Yeah, I think as we go through this, we just want to be really careful about unintended consequences and,
Yeah.
and creating or inviting problems or challenges that would otherwise be avoidable.
Right,
You know, it's a good read. I mean, I'm
is.
struck by the cleanliness of this not even 20-page charter. And I'm not saying we shouldn't make tweaks here or there, but I start from the perspective that it's a nice document. And so as we look at adding things or changing things, your input on, careful what you wish for, careful what you insert would be really helpful.
yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you also kind of having those concerns in the forefront of your mind. Oftentimes when our office is drafting an ordinance that the city is considering, a member of our office will draft it, and then we'll present it to the rest of the attorneys in the office and say, break it. Tell me all the reasons this could go wrong. And, and it's through that kind of process, you kind of test it out to see. Of course, we can never anticipate everything, but, I think that's a helpful process.
I
Yes.
also like, which hadn't occurred to me, again, you want this to be a living document that can change in the interim, so you don't lock things into place.
Right, and then, of course, that's more, true of ordinances than the charter.
Right.
Again, you can amend charters between charter review commissions, but it's a little more involved than just a common ordinance amendment, so.
Well, and I was going to also mention that. I think it's helpful to understand that we address so many things through ordinances. I mean, we address most things, I'm sure, through ordinances, which are a lot easier to deal with and can adjust as circumstances, community values, external laws, et cetera, change.
The bar's kind of higher here.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. I think our goal should be to not have to go through during the next 10 years and correct something.
Yeah, charters are more kind of frameworks,
Yeah.
The devil,
Yeah.
and the details, those are in ordinances or even resolutions and policies and so forth, so.
Okay.
Yeah, these are kind of the big principles in the
I also
charter.
think with the language, it's great that you know the law and what to use in place so it doesn't create issue, because I've seen places where languages actually create conflict. So thank you for doing that.
Okay, anything else on the preamble? Any of the other comments? I assume, Eric, you'll look through all of this and then give us your.
Sure, I mean,
I think that's just should be part and parcel of this.
Sure.
Discussion.
Yeah, and I'd reviewed the material that Commissioner Denning had proposed, and I didn't have any questions or comments about that. I just didn't, of course, hadn't seen this updated version here, so.
And that came right out of the, verbatim from the model.
Model,
Just so
yeah.
you guys know too, just because we,
The model
Yeah.
did make the point, you have to look at everything through the lens of, your specific thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Very good.
Yeah, certainly when the charter started off 50 years ago, it was very, very simple. It was a starting point. I think it's always good to look at it from that perspective too, that we want to make sure what we're putting in there is relevant to.
And things have changed from the first time you started, a
no
lot of
question.
things.
Absolutely. I've changed.
I like the, no.
Your hair color.
I like the and responsiveness by city employees. That's always important for City Hall to keep in mind.
I have a question, sorry, for number 4, the civility by city employee in their interaction with the public. What do you mean by that? Because if one take their coat off when they go outside, what they put on social media, I just want to understand what this phrase mean by interaction with the public.
Oh, I'm sorry, is that for me?
Yes,
You're asking what is meant by the, I'll say, current language of?
correct. The civility by city employees in their interaction with the
Yeah.
public.
Yeah, I think the idea is just that, we take the mindset of being public servants and have kind of a customer satisfaction kind of view towards our interactions with members of the public. Now, obviously, there are limits there, because, certainly some members of the public would be happy to take up, our entire day, listening to their grievances and so forth, and of course, we've got other work to do.
Never
But we can
happens at the
still.
county.
But we can still engage with those folks to the extent that we do in a civil fashion, as opposed to, yelling at them or whatever.
And responsiveness, I think I made the point that responsiveness does not mean that you have to stay forever and listen to them, or even, but, again, customer satisfaction sort of is like, if, you give them, you tell them, I appreciate this, or you can tell them if that's not possible, or what you're gonna do to follow up, and so it's just more a matter of, making them feel like they've been heard,
Right.
and,
Thank
Good
you.
point. Customer service. Anything else on the preamble?
No, I think it's good.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
And we're okay with, we haven't talked about 5 yet, really.
The
That
addition.
was that straight from the model charter?
I think so. It looked to me like it
yes.
was.
Yeah.
And I'd expect, again, to have that reviewed too by the city. I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that
make
we're all.
Because you could define environmental stewardship a lot of different ways, I suppose. And is there anything that, that you can tell us if there's something that would, for some reason, run up against ordinance or?
Yeah, I mean, I read this and I was okay with it. Now, of course, there will always be those who accuse the government of not being fair. I mean, of course, what's fair in your mind is different than what it might be in mine. That's a bit in the eye of the beholder. But yeah, I didn't have any concerns reading this.
And likewise, that it creates some unforeseen exposure or liability? I'm gonna
I don't know, that we
be-
have not sufficiently treasured the many wonders of our unique environment. Yeah, I
What
mean,
does effective mean, or?
Right?
yeah,
Define effective, yeah.
yeah, right. I mean, I get it. I just, yeah.
It's
Um,
probably general enough to be okay.
I think so. I mean, that's not to say someone might not look at this and say, if we, don't go to 110% of every environmental action, that we've somehow violated our charter. Well, effective environmental stewardship, well, maybe effective means, one, fair and effective. Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Article 1, powers of the city.
I guess we skipped over definitions.
Yeah,
Yeah, definition.
Yes.
Sorry.
Look at all those.
I wasn't sure if definitions were included in preamble or which.
You're right.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I didn't think we had any on the.
All right,
Fire away.
I'll just jump in. I talked about it a little bit last time, but I'd like to see those definitions of eligible and qualified elector
Right.
merged into simply elector, and actually the definition of qualified elector, of eligible elector, is closer to what current law is, eligible to register to vote because of the election day registration law and such, so, and then just carry that through the document.
As I was kind of looking for it in the rest of the charter, qualified elector, and I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it. But that may be, there's a definition in there that's no longer needed.
There is a state code, a statutory definition of eligible elector, for what it's worth, in Iowa Code Section 39.3, sub 6, although interestingly not of a qualified elector in that same code
Yeah,
section.
historically,
provision.
the distinction was already registered at current address, and that mostly referred to petitions.
Right, in that being a qualified elector, what you're describing, yes.
So you would recommend just striking that?
Yeah, just number 7, elector means eligible to register to vote in Iowa City, strike 8, renumber, carry through the document.
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that?
That went by pretty fast. Could you say that again?
All right, so we
And
just
let me pull up the charter again,
Yeah.
so I'm comparing apples to apples here. All right, and so you're looking to modify the definition of eligible elector, is that
Yeah,
what you said?
just make it elector, and then carry it through the document, and then remove the definition of qualified elector, which I don't think we're really using for anything anymore.
When you say just make it elector, do you mean not call it eligible elector
Right.
anymore, just say elector?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a reason you wouldn't track the, I mean, given that it's the more inclusive definition, is there a reason you wouldn't just keep it as eligible elector, tracking the
That'd
state
be
code?
fine.
and-
If it's, more
Yeah.
inclusive definition is what I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah,
So what would you do with 8 then? Is it?
well,
Just remove it, since I don't think we're even using it for anything anymore.
So we're just eligible elector, is that what we're using?
Yeah.
Keep 7, drop 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. Actually, I was at home thinking eligible, qualify, what's the difference? I was trying to go through the definition, means a person, mean a resident, isn't a person a resident, isn't a resident a person? So I think 8 to be removed is good.
Anything, any other definitions? Questions about, relative to those?
You can go through at the end and see if we've added anything
Right,
that requires.
exactly,
Right, a
sure.
definition.
Eric, for number 12, would you mind just checking sometime to make sure that those ordinance are still accurate for measure?
well, the ones that are you talking about, for example, it says ordinance 76-27? Yeah, those are just lists of when that, not just measure, but the whole definition section has been amended through time. And so we wouldn't look for you as a commission to do anything with the parenthetical information that's listed at the end there. That's just, as you go through, like, for example, looking at section 1.01, you'll see at the end is ordinance 76-2792 and one, from January 2nd of 7076. That just happens to be the last time that was amended.
It's like a legislative history.
Yes.
I was just checking for
Yep.
accuracy to make sure there's not been updates.
Yeah, no, I
That's all.
appreciate you asking.
Okay. Thank you, John. Anything else on definitions?
Yes, sir, I have a question on 12. So 3-12005, that's 2005, that's the last time it was updated?
Well, based on what I see there, I would want to look at that, the chart at the end to confirm that that's accurate, but that's at least what's suggested by that notation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like the chart backs that up, that it was last amended March 1st of 2005.
Thank you.
All right, ready to move on to Article 1, powers of the city? Yes, sir.
So I didn't know whether shall have is a stronger language, and is that okay
I think it reads better with shall have.
too?
Good point, thank you.
The addition of then was, I made a note. Microsoft Word was saying you need something there.
And that's what it says in the,
Now's when I would turn to our former library
Yeah.
director.
Right.
She's
Right.
gone.
She's the grammar person. And then again, section 1.04 was taken from the Model Charter Commission report, and so again, we would have to look and see, is that all consistent with? The
Yes, I
reality
mean,
of Iowa
that's
City.
consistent with Iowa Code Chapter 28E. I would I will spend a bit more time reviewing this and comparing it to Chapter 28E, which grants the same
Right.
authority, basically what's being described here, to make sure there aren't any inconsistencies that might inadvertently limit our ability to do
Right.
so.
And I recall plenty about 2080 agreements, but they usually involve the county
Yeah.
or the school district.
Right.
I don't know if that statute speaks to other states. And I don't know if Iowa City has ever partnered with Wyoming. on anything. So that'd be part of your review.
Okay, anything else under powers of the city at this point?
Good changes.
Okay. All right. Item 5, tentative meeting schedule. What I would propose that in May, we start to have robust discussions about Article 2 as it relates to council districts. Start that conversation and then ultimately get into, because let's face it, that's the one that's getting the most discussion.
Yes.
And that and the mayor, the position of the mayor. So I think we need to spend at least May on that part of the equation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And for
we
public
should have some-
comment, then, we can figure out how to divide it up. We're gonna cover these things at this meeting, rather than, I think that, I don't know, I think it would be easier than trying to have a discussion on all the things.
On what now?
So trying to have a discussion on all of Article 2 as opposed to
Right.
saying.
No, I
yeah,
think what
in-
we'll try to, at this point, we'll try to just concentrate on the council districts and the mayor. So I think those are the ones that really are really going to take our time, because it's going to require some discussion, and if the majority of the commission wants to go ahead with some of the suggestions that have been made, then there are some other, it will impact other parts of the charter for sure, so. Does the schedule look for everybody in May, Tuesday, May 14th, Thursday, May 23rd? Does that work out for most people?
I will be gone both of those.
May 14 and
May- What's that?
That's unfortunate. You'll be gone.
So I will,
May
if it's
23rd.
appropriate, I will send in written comments.
That's
like I
great.
did.
that would be
Please do.
good.
You're going to have another bite at the apple,
Oh,
too.
yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah. Many bites.
I'll be cutting it close to get here on the 23rd, but I will be getting here because live voting starts on May 15th, so.
Okay.
Hey, we got a ballot back already.
Is
From
the
overseas,
Tuesday
yeah.
and Thursday still working for everybody? for
Does that,
voting?
those days work for everybody? City staff, okay?
Tuesday the 14th and Thursday the 23rd, is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay, I'm okay
And then
with
we've
that.
got 2 dates in June that, if that would be amenable to everybody, I think we should try to look ahead to those also, so we can continue on our journey.
And I
June will
wonder
be better than May for me.
we can kind of say we're gonna work on Article 2 in May, and then if it turns out we need more time, then we can.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the way I
can
would
carry it.
assume too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are we planning to spend 45 minutes on discussion and then wait for public comment
I would think so,
for
yeah,
15 minutes
yeah,
maybe?
yeah. We'll see
Otherwise.
how the time goes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay, any other discussion on the meeting schedule? Item number 6 is community comment. This is the time that we are going to ask that anybody that would like to address the commission on the topics that we have just discussed. We cannot interact with you, we'll listen, we'll take those comments and certainly consider them. I'd ask that you give us your name and address if you could, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Hello.
Chairman, can I ask, can they discuss what we discussed previously or just for today? For public comment?
Members of the public can comment on anything they
Right.
want to,
Right.
well, related to
Yeah.
the commission's work. But the chair is correct in that you don't want to engage in back and forth commentary. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the floor is open.
Hi, I'm Martha Hample. I just appreciate that there's time for public comment.
That's it? Well, that's easy. Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing nobody? Item number 7, move to adjourn. Is there a motion?
So move,
So, moved. Oh,
go ahead.
I'll second.
Moved to Patel, seconded by Marilyn.
Maliabo.
Malibu.
Maliabo.
It's a beautiful name, I just.
That's okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We'll see you in May.